24-21, BYU defeats the Colorado Buffaloes here at Folsom Field to drop CU to 2-3, 0-2 early on in conference play. Had you told me after those first two drives, Colorado scoring 14 points to open the game, that they'd finish this game with less than 300 yards, I wouldn't have believed you at that point, because they were rolling, and BYU adjusted, and they started to spy Caden Salter and really started to shut this offense down.
Yeah, and I mean, 14 points in the first 10 minutes or so, and only 7 after that, and it was a dramatic turn, and I loved the way they came out in this game. I mean, there was a lot of new wrinkles, and the pre-snap stuff was different, and obviously the Wildcat with Draylon Miller, and there was a lot of fun stuff in this offense. And then it seemed like they kind of went back to some old stuff, and part of it was, like Caden Salter mentioned, they adjusted. I don't think CU really adjusted after that, and that was the game. And but they were in it until the end, and I knew the way they came out, and then. You knew you didn't feel comfortable at 14-0. At least I didn't. Like, BYU is going to hit back, and they certainly did.
Yeah. The other play that really stands out when you look back at this football game is it's late in the third quarter. It's 3rd and 17. You have a 4-point lead. You're going to get the ball back with pretty good field position if you can get a stop there. Bachmeier runs 16 yards. They go for on 4th down. They convert there, score a touchdown. Yeah. That's the play, I think, when you look back at this game where you go, Colorado kind of blew it there.
Defensively, for sure, and that was one that Tawfiq Bayer talked to us after the game. He goes, "That one's still eating me up," and it should, because that was one that, man, they had them. You got a team 3rd and 17, you have to get off the field there, and they didn't. And I think that's one thing that has been an Achilles heel for this team is 3rd and long. His teams have picked up a lot of those, and that was a killer one tonight. The other one I thought offensively was they have 3rd and 3. It was a 2-play sequence. Caden Salter has the long run that's called back on the holding penalty on Mario Miller, but at least it's still 3rd and 3. But then Salter takes a 22-yard sack, and doesn't get rid of the ball. And not only did you not pick it up, but then you go back 22 yards. That was a killer play too. I mean, offensively, I think those two things, that play by BYU and then that play by CU, were two of the killers. I mean, there was more than that, but those two plays right there, I thought, told a lot of the story.
If you take out lost sack yardage, because there was quite a bit of it on those 3 sacks that Salter took today, Colorado actually had a better rushing per attempt average slightly than BYU in this football game, which is kind of surprising just because of what Bachmeier was able to do. But the ground game was working there for a while, and it was Draylon Miller really driving that bus.
Yeah, and it's also surprising because BYU had been pretty solid against the run the first couple weeks. I know we had talked about they didn't play super great teams, but they have been really good against the run. And CU of all teams, I mean, you're right. Take out the sack yards; they're over 200 yards rushing, and really take out that 22-yard sack, and they're over 200 yards rushing. Draylon Miller looked good. I thought Micah Welch had a nice game, running the ball. It was really those two, and then Caden Salter had some nice runs that obviously were negated by some of those sacks a little bit. But I think they found some things offensively in this game. Just there wasn't enough of it.
But they weren't able to get the ball downfield like they have been at times previously. Sincere Brown, very quiet, just 1 catch for 8 yards late in the game. So BYU just did a really good job of kind of keeping things in front of them in this football game. Yeah,
they really did. And we're still trying to figure out what this offense is a little bit. There's all these talented receivers, and they had some good things offensively, but Mario Miller was very quiet tonight too. I mean, probably the biggest thing he did was that holding penalty, right? I mean, I think he had 1 catch as well. And Joseph Williams had a nice game, but it was a quiet night for the receivers again. And so I still don't know if we know what this offense is. I don't know if they know what this offense is. But one thing we did learn today is, Coach Prime said what we saw from Draylon Miller. He goes, "That's what you're going to see going forward." He goes, "We found a role for him. That's what he's going to be."
Good to see Jordan Seaton and Zy Chrysler back out there. This is, as Coach Prime said, a game that I think he used the word awkward because he feels like they're the more talented football team. And I would definitely make that argument. I feel like BYU was the better coach football team tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And that's not real surprising, and that's not a knock on Coach Prime. But Kalani Sitake's in his 10th year with this program, and I think we talked about this week. BYU knows what they are, and I'm not sure this Colorado team does, and because there's so much turnover this year from what CU's been the last 2 years. BYU's just got a program that in his 10th year they know what they are, and so you can tell they're well coached. And I think because of that, I think in some ways you can feel good about CU for being in that football game and having a shot to win there at the end. But I think the main feeling is kind of what Tawfiq Bayard said. He was asked, do you almost feel somewhat good after this? And he goes, no. We should have won that football game. We were right there, and this was a lost opportunity. And he made that clear that that's how they feel about it. And it was because you look at the next 3 weeks, it doesn't get any easier. It gets a lot tougher, in my opinion. This was we talked about maybe the easiest of the 4-game stretch here. Not that it was easy, but they blew it, I think, in some ways. And that's a harsh way to say it, blew it. But Coach Prime and Tawfiq were saying we had chances and we didn't get it done.
And Tawfiq Bayard continues to be a really special player for this defense. One of the few guys on this defense I feel like you can count on game to game early on this season. He apologized to Buff Nation, which Bayard's one of the guys out there that I don't think needs to do that because he left it all out there. Bear Bachmeier, he had some accuracy issues with some of the downfield throws he had, but man, that's really impressive. A true freshman can play with that much composure and really just kind of engineer drives the way that he did.
Yeah, I mean, in general, you come into a game like this saying, man, you got a true freshman quarterback on the other side. That's advantage Buffs, right? But he did not look like a true freshman a lot of times. And if you're a BYU fan, you got to feel pretty good about the next few years at quarterback because other than wearing number 47, looking weird wearing that number, he's a really good player.
Well, Damon Greaves apparently is human. He had a shank punt in there, but he had some other punts that were fantastic again tonight. Any other big takeaways from tonight's game? This is backs firmly up against the wall now. I mean, you got 2 conference losses.
Yeah, I guess the other takeaway is, Coach Prime was asked about, did you feel like your defense finally gave you a shot to win a game? And he wouldn't go that far, and he was actually like, next question. He doesn't feel that way. I feel like they did. They had some key stops. I know there was a lot of plays they should have made that they didn't. They also had some key stops in there. I think it was a very, very mixed bag from the defense tonight. There was good and bad. The bad being Damon Greaves has a punt that pins him at the 6, and BYU goes on a 94-yard drive. The good was they made some key stops there in the fourth quarter to give you a shot to win that game. And so I think there's some things to build on with this game. Offensively, I think they found some things that they can take going forward. But at the same time, big picture, you look at this and say, this is a golden opportunity that was lost.
And another tough team coming up next on the schedule. TCU is ranked coming into this week, and they battled the Sun Devils down in Tempe. So they're going to be out for revenge because, the folks in that program remember what happened down there a couple years ago. So this is a week where if leaders are really going to emerge and be solid in this program, this is a week that they're needed.
Well, both teams down in Fort Worth next week should be ticked off about a game they let get away. And we'll see which team is more ticked off and responds better. I think that's going to be the key to it. And I think most people would say TCU is the more talented team on paper. The Buffs have got to play a little bit above their heads next week.
All right, the Buffaloes fall to 2-3. We'll be back with more analysis next week.